What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Birds Deep. I am Mean Gene. I'm going to tell you who I am. Mean Woo Gene. And I am by myself right now, but that's okay. We have a lot of Eagles action to talk about tonight. We are going to have D. Godfrey on. We are going to have Cool McCain. D. Godfrey is flying across the plane as we speak. He's landing. He's coming in hot. So he will be on shortly. We also have Cool McCain. He'll be jumping in as soon as he gets an opportunity to. But we don't start the show late. We start on time. And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to talk about the Eagles beating the Dallas Cowboys. That'll start with us. We'll start with that. We'll talk about the victory that was, the bye week, the preparation for revenge week, which is this week. We are going up against the Kansas City Chiefs this Monday night. Monday Night Football, all hands on deck. Everyone will be watching. So without further ado, let's break down the Cowboys game. A lot of issues on the front. A lot of issues up front for Philadelphia defensively. Dak Prescott looked like an MVP candidate. CeeDee Lamb was unstoppable. However, Jalen Hurts went into the locker room down 3 points, looking like a knee injury. He might not come back. But guess what? That man came back in the second half and was on fire. Touchdown. Went up 28-17 without blinking an eye. Philadelphia took the lead over Dallas early in the second half. And heading into the fourth quarter, we had an 11-point lead. Dallas then turned it up. Eagles got very, very, in my opinion, very, very conservative with the play calling. Very, very, try to hold on to the ball. I said this on the show 2 weeks ago. You cannot play keep away versus Dallas. Doesn't work well. It doesn't work well. Dallas's defense is very aggressive. All or nothing. They stopped the Eagles defense 14 first downs to 0 in the fourth quarter. That's a problem. They drove down the field the first time. We stopped them at the inch-yard line on a play that was highly contested. Reed Blankenship made a great tackle at the goal line, stopping Luke Schoonmaker short. Eagles gave the ball up. Dallas drove down the field once again, scored a touchdown, went for the 2-point conversion, and Dak Prescott, in typical Dak Prescott fashion, stepped out of bounds at the 1-foot yard line. Eagles stopped them up 28-23. 3 and out again. Gave Dallas the ball back. 50 seconds left on the clock. With their own 17-yard line. Dallas drove down the field like nobody, like there was no issue whatsoever. PI call on Bradbury on the sideline. He goes out of the game with an injury. Then a penalty on Hassan Reddick, 15-yard roughing the passer penalty. Then Slay goes out with an injury. All of a sudden, Dallas is at the Eagles' 6-yard line. First and goal from the 6. 27 seconds on the clock. And Dak on a Dak. Cowboys going to Cowboy. Guys, I watched that football game knowing Dallas looked better than Philadelphia, but having no fear knowing that Dak going to Dak. Dak on Dak. Cowboys going Cowboy. First and goal from the 6. What did they do? How did they start that first and goal from the 6? Well, they called a draw play in which Dak Prescott was supposed to run up the middle, and he was wrapped up. And lucky for them, a false start penalty against them happened. So they now had first and goal from the 11. That's where we'll start. First and goal from the 11. Well, we learned our lesson. We won't run a draw play. We have no timeouts left. We'll surely get 4 shots at the end zone. Surely we'll throw the ball to the end zone 4 times. Did they do that? No, they didn't. First down, Josh Sweat beat Terrence Steele like he stole something, sacked Dak Prescott for a 7-8 yard loss. Prescott, instead of spiking the ball, regrouping, decided to drop back, waste 4 or 5 more seconds, throwing a ball that wasn't getting caught outside the back of the end zone. Then after the incomplete pass, they get a delay of game penalty. And then to top it all off, with 5 seconds left, from the 22-yard line, they complete a 20-yard pass to CeeDee Lamb, just 2 yards short when every Eagle was standing on the goal line waiting to tackle him. What'd I tell you, gentlemen? What'd I tell you guys? Dak gonna Dak. That's what he did. He dacked. The Cowboys going Cowboy. When the game is on the line, the Dallas Cowboys will always show you who they are. They might have a ton of talent. Blue chip wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb. Blue chip edge rusher, Micah Parsons. They got it until they need to have it. Then they go on Cowboy. That's all they're ever going to be. Don't fear the Cowboys. Do not fear the Cowboys. They will continue to show you who they are. They will lose football games they're supposed to win. Now, in typical Cowboy fashion, what did they do? They went out and beat the crap out of the New York Giants last week. Because the Cowboys are good at one thing, beating bad football teams. They're great at that. They can beat the Giants and Carolina this week. They'll have no problem with Carolina. They'll beat up on the New England Patriots, and they'll do all that. But when they play the 49ers, they're going to get blown out. When they play the Eagles, they're going to find ways to lose the football game. Dallas going Dallas. Dak going Dak. So let's get into grades. We talk about grades every week on the show. John Suggs says, no, don't you dare put it on Dak. I hate them. He busted his ass. Reason they lost his flags. Well, what do you mean the reason they lost his flags? Explain that to me, the reason they lost his flags. Are you talking about the delay game penalty? Are you talking about the false start penalty? You talking about those flags? Or are you saying the Philadelphia Eagles were the benefactor of flags? Because I would love to hear that. Because for years upon years upon years, Dallas Cowboy fans have been the benefit of very shifty officiating. And when a game gets called very down the middle, 8 penalties apiece, I mean, it was as even as humanly possible on the penalty calls. And Cowboys fans, the refs cheated for the Eagles. So wait, your penalties weren't penalties? It was just our penalties. We cheated. How? I'm tired of the excuses from the Cowboys fans, and I'm even more tired of the conversations about the referees. Sick of it. Eagles won the football game. Let's get into grades. We'll start off with Jalen Hurts. But before we get into grades, we got to bring a man on to help us talk about grades. We have the man from Eagles Elite Podcast himself, Cool McCain. What's popping, Cool? How you feeling?
Let's go.
I'm hyped too. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm hyped. Eagles got the win last week versus the Cowboys. We're headed into the biggest revenge game of my life. On last year's Super Bowl Sunday, I don't think the better team won. I don't believe that. And I think I believe this, and I believe it 100%. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to go into Kansas City and get that revenge that they deserve. But we're talking about grades. We're talking about Jalen Hurts. So listen, as soon as grades come, Godfrey comes flying down from a plane, ready to go. So I got to introduce Mr. Taking It Deep, THEEGODFREY, Taking It Deep with the Godfrey. Godfrey, what's popping? Welcome back from London.
Yeah, I hate Lyft drivers that don't follow the GPS. Yeah, I'm back. Oh man, thanks for holding it down, guys. Sorry I had to run late. You know, had a bye week off, traveled out of town, and we're doing grades right now. So we're giving the Jalen Hurts grade out, right?
That's exactly what we're doing. Jalen Hurts, great. I gave a recap on the Cowboys game. I talked about how Cowboys going Cowboy. Y'all can hear it back. I told you the Cowboys going Cowboy. They found a way to lose a football game in which they outplayed us. Just call it like it is.
Yeah, CD Lamb always gets his on us for some reason. I know why, but a win is a win, true. But if I'm giving Jalen Hurts a grade, I mean, listen, man, the guy was playing hurt. I mean, what can you? I mean, he's anything you want, everything you want. Look at he's just tough as hell. You see him out there, he's pushing. He's still making throws, and he stayed competitive the whole time. I just feel like I'm gonna give him I'm giving him an A. The effort part for me is the biggest piece of it. The guy's got more heart than most people you see on the football field. He had his, team in the game the whole time. The defense, did we do defensive grades?
Not yet. We're literally just at the first grade, my friend.
Oh, good. I got here in time. So, yeah, listen, I'm very happy with Jalen Hurts. I mean, I don't know how anybody couldn't be knowing that this guy's playing under duress as far as his injury. The bye week couldn't come soon enough. He did what he had to do. I mean, I
however, cannot give him an A, Godfrey. I cannot do that.
I cannot give him an A.
I love Jalen Hurts. I love his heart. If we're judging his heart, I would give his heart an A. If we were judging,
his heart's like an A++.
Right. But I can't give him an A in that football game. Guys, we'll call it like it is. When he was an A, the third quarter. That's it. He was an A in the third quarter. Drive, touchdown. Drive, touchdown. The fourth quarter, you have 0 first downs. You can't get a first down to end the game. I can't give you an A.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I'll give him a B. And the B is because of the accuracy, and they didn't turn the football over, although they tried. They fumbled the ball 3 times. I don't blame that on Jalen for any of them. I don't. Well, the one was Jalen, but thank God that who was that fell on that ball?
Tyler Steen.
You've been clamoring to play it right guard over Sua Opeta. You've been clamoring for that.
Do I not look smart?
You
do I not look smart for that?
I mean,
I've been waiting for Tyler Steen to play some right guard.
When I watched that game, I mean, I don't know what's going on with the Eagles' running game, right? And I think that plays to it. I mean, it just seems like if Jalen can't run, they can't run it, and that doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I don't. Yeah,
I know the answer.
Yeah.
The problem is with the running game. Brian Johnson and Nick Tight Pants Sirianni are stupid. That's the problem with the running game. You are not using the backs that you have. We should be running the ball 30 times a game minimum. You got Gainwell back there. You got Swift back there. Penny finally saw some action. Where has he been hiding? That's the problem. Get guys who run the ball and let them run. Call run plays. That's the problem. Sorry.
You don't have to apologize. I think that when a line gets used to pass blocking, they're going to block for the pass. When the line gets used to run blocking, they're going to block better for the run. It's a difference, right? You watch a lot of these football movies, and you can see how an offensive lineman's fingers are. If they're white, they're coming after you. If they're not white, they're dropping back. You can tell whether they're pass blocking or run blocking. It's very simple as an offensive lineman to attack and allow them to fight back, to be able to hit someone. Every play when you're dropping back to pass, your offensive line's getting beat up because they're on the defensive. When you're running the football, they're on the offensive. They get to hit people. Let your big guys hit their big guys. I agree with you. So what grade would you give Jalen Hurts, though?
I'll give him a B as well. I have to take into account the fact that he is injured, but I can't give him an A. Right? If he could have did more for me in the fourth quarter, I would probably slid him like an A-. But yeah, that fourth quarter, any hopes you had of an A, bro, doing nothing in the fourth quarter, you can't get that grade from him.
Agreed.
I respect it though, Godfrey. I respect it, Godfrey. But I can't give it to him.
Let's move on to Nick Sirianni then. We're going to move on to Nick Sirianni, a.k.a. Brian Johnson, the play calling, the offensive side of the football, the way the game was brought to you offensively. I give Nick Sirianni, I give, Brian Johnson, I give any of those guys on that a B-. 28 points versus Dallas is nothing to sneeze at. They didn't turn the ball over, so there was no short field. There were real 28 points. I respect that. I give him a B- because once, like Cool said perfectly, I don't think they do a good job scheming players open. And I don't think they do a good job of setting the tempo and the pace for the run game. So Godfrey, I'll hand it to you. I give Sirianni and Brian Johnson a B-.
Yeah, I give him a B- too, because part of the problem I have with them is the way they scheme. I don't feel like they're ready to do things on the fly or have a backup. Like they lost Dallas Goedert. That was the obvious part of the game plan with him breaking his forearm right there, having the fracture. And I just feel like I need them to be able to improvise quicker. I don't like how they utilize the run game. I feel like that, it's just, I feel like a broken record always saying that, because it seems like the age old adage where everybody's like, run the ball more. And, it seems almost overplayed, but it's definitely something that came into play, and which why I'm giving them that grade. And I think that was part of the lack of movement that you were getting in the fourth quarter, where you couldn't really close the door. Fortunately, Dak was shit in the bed like he usually does in a big moment. And, he played well, but, he played well in between the big moments, stepping out of balance right there. I felt like, either he lost a step or whatever it may be, or the reason why he didn't have enough, a mindset to make sure he didn't with that, 2-point conversion. But being that as it may, I really wasn't happy with the way they deployed part of that offense. Jalen, I think, did everything he can, and I don't know if the coaches were setting him up for success. I don't know if they're using all the players that they can use. And again, like when one player is injured, I just feel like a lot of times we stall offensively, whether it's Lane Johnson, whether it's Dallas Goedert. We get a key player
It's
injured.
not just offensively; it's defensively too.
Well, we'll get to that.
We'll get into that.
Yeah,
what's your grade for Sirianni and Brian Johnson?
B-.
Okay, so same thing. What do you got them at? Nick Sirianni, Brian Johnson.
I got them at a flat C.
I'm all right with that.
I'm not impressed with how they're utilizing the run game. I'm not impressed with them still calling a lot of plays for Jalen Hurts to run when he's got a bone bruise. And I'm not impressed with us not, getting the ball in situations where the running backs can be used out of the backfield in the pass game, as well as Julio Jones has like one touchdown, like maybe one other catch. So we got to work on what we're doing with these things, especially with Goddard out. We're going to need Julio to kind of be that third guy, I believe.
By the way, I think this is flying under the radar, and we talked about this on the show. Albert Onwuegamli, I think I said it better than most announcers, even though it was wrong. They've been butchering this dude's name. They traded for him. It was a very sneaky trade. This kid does have some talent. He can catch the ball. He's better than the tight ends below him on the depth chart. I'm hoping they used the opportunity with the bye week to get this kid ready. If people talk about saying, "Oh, well, Julio Jones could play tight end." Yeah, I guess you could put him in there, but don't dismiss this kid that they traded for him for a reason. I'm telling you. And I felt like they traded for him to have some depth at tight end, for a tight end that was more Dallas Goedert-like as far as his receiving ability. And I've seen this kid play in Denver on bad teams, and he was a decent college tight end. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Gene. I believe he went to school with Noah Fant opposite of him at Iowa, which tends to be tight end U. Am I right?
I went to Missouri. He went to Missouri.
All right, whatever. Still,
but that's okay. Ogunbowale is, in my opinion, being undervalued and underutilized at this moment. I don't know why. I'm not at the practices every day, but it seems to me that Grant Calcaterra gets the action when Dallas Goedert isn't playing, and that's kind of what I've seen. I don't know why Ogunbowale is not getting a lot of action, but I will say this: he's fourth on the depth chart behind Jack Stoll, behind Grant Calcaterra. So he, with Dallas Goedert being out, I guess he'll get more usage, but we're talking about tight end 4 right now. I think I got to give Cool his credit. I think Julio Jones is somebody that you'd want to get more involved. I don't need to be running 2 tight end sets. I can get by with Jack Stoll or Grant Calcaterra as my solo tight end, or if they want to run passing plays to Ogunbowale. But
they're not going to be doing 12 personnel then. They're going to have to switch that up. Right? I mean,
they should be running 3 wide receiver sets. You can run a 3 wide receiver set with 1 tight end, and you're not running 11 personnel. You're running just trips, and however you want to run it. I would rather see Julio Jones and Zacchaeus on the field running 4 wide receiver sets instead of them running 2 tight end sets. I don't ever want to see that. So let's get into the defensive grade on Sean Desai. I have to call out Eagles fans. I have to call you out. Sorry. Got to call you out. First of all, let me just be openly clear here. Really sucks Nakobe Dean is hurt again. A Liz Frank sprain in his foot. I think it's a recurring injury from his foot, from his original injury he got in the New England game. Everybody saying that this man is injury prone doesn't realize that the only games he's missed in his entire football career have been this year. He's never missed a football game. College, high school, first year as a pro, as a special teamer. And they're calling him a bust, and they're calling it like replace him. You're not watching the football game when he's on the field then.
A little early to call him a bust, too.
What?
A little early to call him a bust. I mean, that's...
Well, it's injuries. It's not...
It's asinine is what it is. It's
you're just not watching the football game. And that's the part that drives me nuts, because when Nakobe Dean is on the field, Nakobe Dean versus Miami might have been the best defender on the field. He might have been the best defender on the field versus the Dolphins. But we're pretending that his loss doesn't mean anything. I've read a ton of comments. Morrow and Cunningham are playing better anyway. No, the hell they're not. When Nakobe Dean went out of that game, that middle got shredded. Jake Ferguson went over that middle like it was nothing. The first half, it looked like the Eagles were attacking, and Dak was scrambling to get out of drives, scrambling to be able to pass the ball downfield. The second half, it looked like a hot knife through butter. And that one half you had Nakobe Dean, the other half you didn't.
I feel like Ferguson gave it to all the linebackers, though. I'll be honest. I mean, there's times when Ferguson was getting it on Dean, too, when he was in the game. I mean,
he had 5 catches in the second half and 2 in the first. You tell me. I mean, he might have got it on him once or twice, but every tight end or receiver is going to have their moment. When you have 2 catches in one half and 5 in the other, you tell me.
I just don't get the defensive approach. Like, we know where Dak's going on a 3rd and long or 3rd down tight end, or it's CeeDee Lamb, right? I mean, and
he gave us a couple. I'm serious when I tell you this. Everyone talks about the great game he had. That 4th down throw to Turbin on the right side, or Tolbert on the right side of the field, when Jake Ferguson was wide open over the middle of the field, that was a gift on 4th down. That 4th down missed conversion that Bradbury knocked the ball out from Tolbert on the right side, that was a gift, right? Gift. Ferguson was wide open across the middle of the field. The Eagles defense has holes in it. Kevin Byard does not look like Kevin Byard yet.
No.
It's going to take time.
Of course, I get it.
Yeah.
So what are we giving Sean Desai? What are we giving the defense?
Come off the top, Cole. I can see you climbing up the top rope right now like Macho Man. Come on.
Yes, sir. I'm going to give the defense a C+. I can't give them a B, but I'm going to give them a C+. The reason I'm going to give them a C+ is, I've said this and I mean this wholeheartedly. I see Desai making adjustments. So the problem in this game, I've had a lot of people say, oh, well, the second half, blah, blah, blah. You just said it. Nakobe Dean's there. Nakobe Dean gets re-aggravates an injury, or for what I was told, either he re-aggravated or it's the other foot. But either way, I think it's connected, because even if it's the other foot, I think it's compensating for the original injury. So either way, I feel like it's related to the original injury. But when you lose a guy that's basically, we talked about this, our first episode ever. My first episode ever, not y'all's. Green dot. You lose the guy with the green dot, things get out of whack. People start getting open that wouldn't be open if he was there to say, hey, go here, go there. Then you got Byard, who's pretty new to the system as well. You had issues with Jordan Davis not playing the whole game. You had issues with Jalen Carter not playing the whole game. So there were a couple of pieces that made this tough. But at the same time, Desai, you still have to have the next man up mentality. You've got to start. I think the biggest thing for me with the defense is you've got to start using your depth. You've got to start putting these other guys in the corner. Bradbury's getting burnt. Slade's getting burnt. So what's the difference between that and putting the rookie guys in something? I'm not saying put them in every play, but rotate. Try to keep your veterans fresh. Use the players that you have in a better manner.
Outside of the PI on Bradbury, I actually think Bradbury had a good game. I think a lot of people aren't. I don't think a lot of people are watching what like CeeDee Lamb was not burning Bradbury. CeeDee Lamb was burning the slot. He was constantly lined up in the slot, and Jake Ferguson isn't on Bradbury. So like I get what you're saying. Like he might have allowed a reception or two, but even the receptions that he allowed, he was in great coverage. I think Bradbury had one of his best games of the season, and people are giving him slack. I don't get it. I'm just saying I really love the way he looked in this football game. Now, granted, he's been getting burnt all season long, so I agree with you. I just like the way he looked versus Dallas, and I think that people are ready to jump on that Bradbury's cooked bandwagon because he's looked bad versus Tyreek Hill, because he's looked bad previous weeks, but I think he actually looked good versus Dallas.
So I don't think he's cooked. I think his technique got a little off when they put him at slot. I don't think you should have ever put him at slot. I also think we have, you talk about how there's receptions that weren't thrown to the right person. You look at some of those plays, and Bradbury was beat. So I'm taking those into account too. When I say that Bradbury could have been better, and maybe a rotation would be better for him and Slade. So I'm not just necessarily saying like, oh, they caught the ball all over him or they didn't. I'm saying I always go back and watch the game on Monday, right? That's kind of what I do. So when I watch it on Monday, I'm looking to see what's happening besides the actual plays. If I watch it on Sunday or whenever we play, I'm sweating, I'm all into it. I can't focus on the other stuff. So I have to go back and rewatch it so I can talk about it on shows and not just say the same thing that some guy that just watched it one time while he was drinking would say. So that's when I saw like, okay, Bradbury, there were times where the ball didn't go there, but you were beat. So he's better. Completely agree he's better. But I've never been on the Bradbury's cooked bandwagon because you don't take a guy like Bradbury and he all of a sudden gets cooked.
Eagles fans in the offseason were saying stuff like, oh, if we have to let one of the corners go, we let Slade go and re-sign Bradbury because he's younger. He's got more tread on the tire, and now he's cooked after a game and a half. Like, stop. Like,
listen, I'm just going off what I've seen on.
I'm just saying, people. I know he's been.
I give Sean Desai a C+ also. I actually had the same grade. The reason I have him as a C+ is because in the NFL there are better defenses with less talent than Philadelphia. So, like, we're talking about a player missing and people getting hurt. People get hurt all across the league. The things that make defenses successful. Look at the New York Jets game where the Eagles lost that football game. No one remembers the Jets were missing cornerbacks 1 and 2 in that football game. Yet we still couldn't throw on them because the next man up mentality was there, right? So with Sean Desai, it seems like he can make a really good meal when he's got all the ingredients there. But when an ingredient, like, listen, we got to be able to improvise when we're out of salt, right? Let's add some garlic salt in there. Let's get a little, like, why is Nolan Smith, a first-round draft pick, getting less than 15 snaps per game? The guy's got game-changing speed. Why not get him more play? Why not get him more action?
It's got to be something with practice. Like
Eli Ricks,
I don't
needs to be out there more.
I will say this: I'm an Eli Ricks guy, but Eli Ricks is not a slot corner. He's not a slot corner.
No, he's not
in the slot, bro. He is destroyed.
That's not his position.
Yeah.
You know who needs to be in the slot? Sidney Brown. Until Bradley Roby gets back, Sidney Brown should be the slot corner.
Well, he was in the slot a lot.
That's who should be in the slot.
He actually was the one that got cooked on that huge CeeDee Lamb crossing route, which, listen, CeeDee Lamb's going to cook a lot of corners, a lot of safeties.
Yeah, he's going to get you.
I think Justin Evans coming back will help them out a ton because you'll be able to rotate Sidney Brown, Justin Evans, Reed Blankenship, and Kevin Byard at safety and nickel, and being able to scheme a lot of different things. You're really getting healthy in that secondary by getting Evans back. I agree with you, though. Sidney Brown needs to play more, and I think you're going to see a lot better Eagles secondary this week because you're going up against a very pedestrian Chiefs wide receiving core. But Godfrey, before we get into the Chiefs, before we break down the game, what's your grade you gave Sean Desai?
I give them a C-. It's not so much to do with Sean Desai as to do with the organization. And I say this a lot. You guys heard me say this. I could have bet my life that CD was going to get that yardage, and they were going to do that because the Eagles have this funnel defense, and they just let people eat over the middle over and over and over again. That was happening before Desai was here. It's still happening when he's here. I really think as an organization, how they set things up, and that's just a philosophy they have, is they have this funnel D, and then when you get to the red zone, you're gonna have a tough time. Now I give them a C plus. Did I say C minus or C? I'm sorry.
You said C minus.
Yeah, the reason I didn't go to a D
yeah.
is because they did make some timely plays. Like it was a game of inches. Like that tackle right by the goal line, right? I mean, they made some big plays. Was Dak fast enough, or did they just get him at the right angle where he had to step out of balance, right? I mean, it was a game of inches that way. I was yelling at my brother the whole time while watching this go on. He was losing his mind, big time Eagles fan. I'm like, look at the TV, look at it, stop being a bitch. That's how I kept yelling at my brother about that. But like, we're watching that game, and it did feel like a hot butter knife going in. That's why I didn't go D. I mean, listen, man, like when you give up that kind of yardage, what you're saying is, okay, you're not going to score on me in the red zone most of the time. That sometimes that's not going to work, and I just feel like you're gambling when you do it that way. I'm not a fan of that. And when we have to play against a better quarterback like a Patrick Mahomes, even with subpar wide receivers, that still could be a problem. Or
you already know Travis Kelce is going to have a huge game, right? Like you already understand that.
Yeah,
they have no one. They have the worst possible setup to go against Travis Kelce. He's going to eat Monday night.
Well, I'm hoping Taylor Swift, took his mojo. If you know what I mean. Before all this, like, I hope she just broke them off.
Hopefully she's been a secret Eagles fan this week, right?
And then she just rips off and shows the green under the jersey. Like, yeah, I'm here. What's up?
I would love if she had a DeAndre Swift jersey on.
That'd be hilarious.
But
that would be dope.
We got to talk about the Eagles Chiefs, the revenge game from the Super Bowl in Arrowhead, Monday Night Football. Both teams coming off a bye. I constantly have heard all week about Andy Reid's record off a bye. He is 21-4 in his career off regular season byes. It's a very incredible stat. Andy Reid has always been a very good preparation coach, a planner, a great scripter. However, I don't know what the winning percentage of 21-4 is. It's probably somewhere around 790, 800. It's incredible, right? But I'll tell you what's better than 790 or 800 is 1,000. Because Mr. Nick Sirianni is 2-0 off of byes. So I don't know. One coach has lost 4 games off a bye. Another coach has lost 0. I'm being kind of facetious and joking around a little bit here, but let's call it like it is. I don't feel scared of this Chiefs team. I don't. I think their offense has serious issues. I think they have issues at the wide receiver position. You tell me, Rashee Rice, who scares you? Mecole Hardman, does he worry you?
No, they don't worry me that way. But I will say Rashee Rice, I think, is a very good rookie that runs good routes. He's, for Eddie so far in his young career, I think he's going to be the best Chiefs receiver by the end of the season. Outside of Travis Kelce, obviously, playing tight end and is the number one option in that offense. They don't really scare me. I mean, listen, I think they're beatable, and I have an idea to throw at you guys here, and you tell me if it's just crazy or not. And I could see Nick Sirianni doing something like this. We've been talking about them running the ball more, right? Are they trying to do the rope-a-dope with the Chiefs? Are they preserving the run, winning different ways, overthinking it, as we say, and then ready to just drop the hammer on the Chiefs with the run game?
Absolutely not. No, that'd be the dumbest thing ever.
I think you're giving them too much credit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think coming off the bye, they should absolutely run the ball on the Chiefs. I mean, listen, if you look at the Broncos game, you look at other games where they've lost, even in other seasons. Like,
Well, yeah, you
can
slow
beat
down the
them by
blitz.
running.
That's what you have to do versus Kansas City. You have to slow down Spagnuolo from putting 12 people on the line and getting after your quarterback. That's what he wants to do. The Chiefs have been wildly successful this year at sending pressure. For as much pressure as the Eagles send, the Chiefs send even more, right? So,
Well, we've seen
yeah,
him do
you're
it
right.
on a short week. We haven't seen him do it by. Remember, everybody's like, "Where's DeAndre Swift at the first couple of games?" And then then on a Thursday night, they're like, "Oh my God, let's hand him the ball a bunch of times." Like, I don't know if they were doing that kind of thing, and I could totally see them doing that. Let's give a few more carries to Rashard Penny all of a sudden, and then gives him the game on. We'll just kind of not really overwork Swift here and just unleash him. I don't know, man. That whole analytics culture and things like that, I could totally see them tallying up, how many touches they get over a certain period of time, and then, saving them up, so to speak, or preserving their body. But DeAndre Swift is the guy that I think, and the offensive line is the key to this game. I mean, you got to run the ball. They can run the ball. I think if you want to get into a shootout with Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball, even with his receivers being downgraded, it's not something I want to see.
I think the Philadelphia Eagles win this football game. I'm actually not even that worried about it. I have zero fear of this football game. You guys remember me talking last week about the Dallas Cowboys, and I was kind of nervous. I was like, it's a bad matchup. This isn't a bad matchup for Philadelphia. It's not. You have defensive linemen that can get after the quarterback, that can get pressure everywhere at Patrick Mahomes. You have speed around the edges that are going to make Patrick Mahomes use his legs a lot more than he wants to. And you have good matchups in the secondary outside of the tight end position. If I'm Sean Desai, I can write him a letter. I can do whatever you want to do. And I think when you say funnel, you kind of mean umbrella. And that's an umbrella shell defense that the Eagles run. I think you have to double team Travis Kelce the entire football game and make the other receivers beat you. I would run Nicholas Morrow and Kevin Byard as a double team on him every single play. I'd have an underneath linebacker and I'd have an over-the-top safety, and I would be trying to take Travis Kelce away. He's still going to get his.
And we haven't seen Byard's best. He's not washed. People think you're like, oh my God, the Titans knew what they were doing, getting rid of him. Stop. Like, he's not washed. Like, I've seen Eagle fans saying that too. I mean, am I wrong, guys? He's not washed, right? Like, they need to let him get into the system. People.
Man,
I have not seen it.
If somebody has a bad game, they're washed according to our fan base.
Listen, and people, when it comes to DBs, especially cornerbacks, it's a passing league, so you're going to see them a lot. You can't expect they're going to get burnt on some plays. That is just how the game works. Okay. You can't expect them to be 100% shut down all the time. Even your best DBs are going to get beat sometimes. And that's just the way it works, and game flow matters, and certain things are going to happen that way. But Kevin Byard, I think this is the game where he shows up, personally, in my opinion.
I sure hope so. Coming off a bye, I think Sean Desai versus Andy Reid is the biggest mismatch in this game. You have Andy Reid's offense versus Sean Desai's defense. Schematically, I will say this: the Philadelphia Eagles are playing a lot different style defense than they played last year with Jonathan Gannon. Now, yes, they still play shell. Yes, they still play, but they mix up their zones. And if you realize, last year the Philadelphia Eagles were one of the worst teams in the NFL against motion. This year, it's almost exactly the opposite. They run a lot of zone. They run a lot of coverage zone, matchup zone. So they're not as susceptible to the Chiefs running those gadget plays, essentially. Like, they beat them for 2 in the Super Bowl. The one to Kadarius Toney and the one to Jerick McKinnon. Or Sky Moore. I don't think that the Eagles will be susceptible to that motion this week. I think you're going to see a lot of razzle-dazzle from Kansas City, a lot of trick plays, but I think the Eagles defense will play bend but don't break, hold Kansas City to a lot more field goals than touchdowns. I see this game going Philadelphia's way. Offensively, you're absolutely correct. They have to run the football. They have to use their offensive line and power the Kansas City Chiefs defensive line. Kansas City has 2 very good defensive linemen in Chris Jones and George Karlaftis. However, Lane Johnson getting a week and a half off to recover a little bit from his injury. Mailata has been the second best graded left tackle in all football by PFF. You're getting Cam Jurgens back this week. Kelsey and Dickerson are playing.
Yeah,
I love this team this week. I love Philadelphia this week. I don't know why people are nervous. I'd be more nervous about the letdown game next week versus Buffalo.
listen, I know why they're nervous. It's because they listen. A lot of people they just hear like, "Oh, Patrick Mahomes." People that are fans, and we love them that they listen to the show. But some are just Eagle fans. That's okay, right? You don't got time to watch all the games like us. And I watch a lot of Chiefs games, and I like watching Patrick Mahomes. But I'm going to tell you right now, they need to run the ball, and it's going to be hard for them to run the ball against the Eagles. Eagles are 2.5 point underdogs right now on the road. Chiefs are 2.5. It fluctuates a little bit. They open up at 3.5, and I'm not scared. The only thing that I think is it's a tough place to play. It's a Monday night. I don't think you're going to be afraid of the bright lights. And you also have Andy Reid is good after bye. I think what they have to be prepared for, and we know him in Philadelphia, is they got to be prepared for those first 15 to 20 scripted plays, whatever they may be. 100%. And they got to be ready for it because that is Andy Reid's mode. He's got 2 weeks to prepare. He's going to have these scripted plays. They have to be ready because that's how Andy Reid operates. And I will tell you that I'm telling you right now, at tight end, they're gonna have some success, and I think Albert's coming out. They interviewed him and he said, "Will you be ready?" He's like, "I'll be ready. Don't worry about it." Like he's got a little swag to him. I'm telling you, there's a reason why Howie traded for this kid. This kid will contribute, and when Dallas Goedert comes back, you're gonna have a double tight end threat to catch the ball, which makes the offense more dynamic. I believe in this kid's talent. I mean, the reason why they traded for him is because they looked at Jack Stoll and Alcantara. They weren't that impressed when Goddard got hurt last year. And so they needed an upgrade. And that's the only reason why you trade for that guy. Because if you felt that confident about those other guys on the roster, you're not wasting a six round pick on this kid. So.
Okay. Cool. How do you see the game breaking down? I think the Philadelphia Eagles win. I'm super confident about it. I'm going to give you my score prediction shortly, but I love Philadelphia in this football game.
I think Philadelphia wins. We don't allow teams to run the ball. That's one thing that we do very well, right? We don't allow teams to run the ball. You expertly said they need to run the ball in order to win this game. So if we can find a way to minimize, not negate, because that's an asinine word to say in regards to Travis Kelce, but minimize Travis Kelce's impact on the game as a pass catcher, then we give ourselves a great opportunity. And I think we'll figure out a way to do that. Maybe we can get him to cough one up. Maybe we can get Mahomes to throw one and somebody can go get it from Kelce, because that's going to be the focal point of the passing game. We already know that. I do like maybe double teaming him, maybe putting somebody over top and beneath him for most of the game. I like those ideas. We have to find a way to take Kelce away. I agree, make everybody else beat you. Those guys drop the ball. They can make big plays. Another guy to watch out for in this game is Rashee Rice. He is going to have at least about 75 yards, and I'll be honest, I put him in my lineup this week in fantasy because he's playing us. I put Terry McLaurin in my fantasy the 2 times we played, and he delivered. Unfortunately, I got to be real. But at the same time, we still have the opportunity to go out there and win this game because we are the better team overall. They are better offensively coaching against us, but talent overall, I think we have more talent. Obviously, the wide receiver position, which is a swing point in this game. The thing we have to do is run the freaking ball. Stop the run and run the ball. Take whatever they give you. Jalen, we don't need the big bombs the whole game. Just take whatever they give you.
I think their corners are very beatable.
I'll tell you what, right now, that Chiefs cornerback room has been very good. Trent McDuffie has lived every bit up. He's been very good. L'Jarius Sneed's been great too, and Watson. But AJ Watson has played great. But here's what I want to touch on based off what you said. The Philadelphia Eagles are better at every position on the football field outside of 3: tight end, quarterback, head coach. You cannot allow a team that you're superior at everywhere on the football field outside of 3 positions And Kansas City's got the edge of quarterback over anybody. But if anyone's close, it's Philadelphia.
Yeah, I was about to say, I argue we might not be quite. We're in the same.
Jalen Hurts not the same as Patrick Mahomes. No.
So
I think so.
So here's the thing. I just want to review the game a little bit. When the Chiefs lost to the Broncos 24-9. By the way, the Broncos are playing good ball. Everybody's living on a 70-point game. They just beat the Chiefs and the Bills. Okay, back to back, 3 games in a. So people wanted to write them off, and I'm not talking about the Broncos here, but I'm bringing them up because I'm looking at the stats and some things come out to me. 6 for 58. That was Travis Kelce. Okay, Pacheco 8 for 40 yards. Two interceptions by Mahomes, no touchdown passes. All right, Broncos are playing a lot better defense. When you look at the offense of the Broncos, 27 carries for Javonte Williams, 85 yards. Right, 4 for McLaughlin, 8 runs for 30 yards by Russell Wilson. The receivers didn't really get off, but you know what they did do? The thing that stands out, they won the time of possession, 33 minutes to 26 minutes. They had more first downs, 19 to 18. They had better third down efficiency. So the point of me bringing this up is, and they won the turnover battle, 5 turnovers to 1. So if you're going to run the ball, not turn the ball over, they can be beat. I don't think I'm going on a limb here saying that the Eagles are exponentially more talented than the Denver Broncos. Okay, and they have the packages and the defense and the offense to replicate that same type of plan. And every week I talk about this on Sideline to Sideline. That was the Chiefs game where it's like, how the hell did they lose to them? They have one every year. It was the Broncos game, right? And the Eagles can absolutely execute the same type of game plan. There was 5 turnovers to 1. And if I told you that was going to happen when that game happened, you guys would have been like, you're nuts. Everybody said nobody predicted that. But, Gene, you weren't on the show that week on Sideline to Sideline. I was talking about it. I was like, is this game where the Chiefs have that weird call-up game that they have every year? And, the Eagles are a Super Bowl contender. So they're not a team that's going to sneak up on them, but they're a team that can outshine them with the talent that they have on the team. So if you control the clock and you run this ball, they're not going to be able to handle the Eagles. I believe, Gene. And when I look at the overall, it started out 50.5. Now it's at 45.5 for the total. Did you know that, Gene?
Yes. Do you know why? Because the Chiefs defense has been incredible this year, and they're holding everybody under 25 points.
True. Teams are scoring a little bit less this year too, but I also think that's going to be indicative of the Eagles running the ball and holding onto the ball longer, and you're not going to get as many scoring opportunities on offense. So
they held the Dolphins to 14, the Broncos to 24, the Chargers to 7, the Broncos to 8, the Vikings to 20, the Jets to 20, the Bears to 10, the Jaguars to 9, the Lions to 21.
I feel like the Jets should have a
25-yard a team to score 25 points against them all year. Their defense has been incredible. Let's not undersell that defense. In order to win the football game, and what the Broncos did right is they didn't run the ball with much success, but they ran the ball and controlled the clock. You nailed it, Godfrey. You said it perfectly. He didn't run for 4 yards a carry.
Yeah.
But they kept running the ball. They ran the ball almost double the amount of times that they threw it. Sustained drives. Patrick Mahomes playing from behind, turning the football over, making the wide receivers beat you, not the tight ends.
Russell Wilson extending plays for him. Getting 30 yards is big. It doesn't sound like a big stat, but 8 for 30 for Russell Wilson against that team. That was probably backbreaker for them. I mean, listen, I agree with everything you say about the Chiefs. I just think that they're not – people hear the Chiefs and they think of like the Chiefs of 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And they did win a Super Bowl without Tyreek Hill, but that is an element of the game they're missing because it doesn't give them the ability to make up ground like they were able to before.
I got to read this comment. We have a cockroach in the comments. However, he seems like a very good cockroach. I don't mind him. Cowboy fan, if you don't know, we call you cockroaches. And I still respect you for your comments, Rob, but we're going to read them out. Rob Johnson says, I'm a Cowboys fan, but this is a warning that the Eagles are yet to play an A game. Once they do, it's over. Best team in the NFL. The Eagles have a crazy backfield. Dallas Goedert, when healthy, is a Pro Bowl tight end. Rashad Penny is going to be a menace when he gets a chance. The Eagles are bored. They're waiting for the playoffs, still 8-1. I respect it. Respect it, Mr. Cowboy fan.
Yeah. I think the Chiefs.
So we got to give our game predictions. Give me a prediction on the score, how it goes. You can even give me a 30-second synopsis. I don't care. Godfrey, I'll start with you. Who wins the game? What's the score? How does it go?
I got Eagles winning 27-17.
You just talked about the over-under. You're still picking the under.
Yeah, I'm still picking the under. I just feel like Vegas has it right on the nuts with that. And I just feel like it's one of those things where people see these type of games and they hear Patrick Mahomes and the Eagles are like 50 points. That's 50 points. No doubt about it. And I just don't see it going that way. I think you're going to have some defensive stands from both sides. And I just think the Eagles are just going to be able to impose their will on that team much more. Chiefs aren't any slouch, but I'm going with a healthy Eagles offensive line.
Cool. Score prediction. How's the game go?
Eagles 34-20. I think both of us get some stops. Both of us have to kick some field goals because the Eagles are not going to put their football in the end zone every time. Let's be realistic. But I don't think the Chiefs are going to be able to do so as well. I'm anticipating a big turnover that will swing the game in the Eagles' favor. And Reddick is going to go off.
I think the over is an absolute lock for this football game. I have the Eagles win this game 30-24. I think it'll be a closer game, but I think that the Eagles will end the game with the ball up 6. So I don't think Patrick Mahomes will ever have the ball in his hand with a chance to win the football game in the fourth quarter. So it'll be close as in a one-score game, but I think the Philadelphia Eagles still win it 30-24. I think both teams start hot offensively. I think in the second half, a turnover or two changes the dynamic of the game. I got the Eagles 34, Chiefs 20. Eagles 30, Chiefs 24. I want to get in counterfeit green, right? Because I kind of mentioned it earlier, and it's super important for me, for anybody to understand that watches football games, right? Like I break this stuff down, right? I watch these football games. Like Cool said, I watched a replay of it. I don't just watch the game, I watch film. If you're out there telling me Kevin Byard is washed, James Bradbury is washed, Nakobe Dean stinks, you're not watching the football games. It's schematically, issues defensively, but these aren't bad players. Bradbury allowed 5 receptions in the Cowboys game. I looked it up. 4 of them, his yards of separation were less than a half a yard. That's considered good coverage. If they make a contested catch and he's right there for the tackle, I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. Nakobe Dean was playing great football versus Miami, and you're going to pretend that Nicholas Morrow and Zach Cunningham are playing better football? You're out of your mind. Watched the game. That's my counterfeit green this week.
Yeah, mine is I wanted to bring this up because you hear this narrative every time the Eagles play the Chiefs, and it's annoying to me, and you usually hear from national broadcasters. Eagles fans ran Andy Reid out of town. That is not true. If you're saying that, you don't follow the Eagles, and you're just talking out of your ass. His kid OD'd in camp. He had a lot of family issues, time management issues with how much time he was spending in the office. 20 hours he was sleeping in the office. They said 4 hours a day, right? Wearing 2 hats. He was the GM basically and the head coach, all right? Part of the reason, Andy Reid has become a better coach is because all he's doing is coaching and he's not in charge of personnel. Andy Reid did not discover Patrick Mahomes. He definitely developed him. But if you saw Andy Reid before Patrick Mahomes, a lot of people said, wow, that looks like a lot of the same that was in Philadelphia with Alex Smith. Right now, to be fair, he didn't have his guy. Andy Reid's all-time great coach. He reestablished the Eagles franchise. He did a lot for them. For always be grateful. But he left on his own terms. It was a mutual parting of the ways. He had a goodbye speech that was very tearful to a lot of the Eagles staff and people that worked for him for years. It was not an ugly goodbye. It was a mutual parting of the ways, and he wanted to coach, and he needed to reset. He is an all-time great coach. I'm not taking anything away from Andy Reid, but I am tired of hearing national pundits say Eagles fans ran him out of town. That did not happen. It did not. It's the truth. And it's such a counterfeit green thing. Like, come on, please. Anyway.
I agree with you. I got to talk to the stinking 49ers fan in the chat. Nick, I remember we talked earlier in the season. We were talking about the 49ers going undefeated and them not losing a football game. I'm going to tell you something right now, bro. Make it very clear. That 49ers team is one injury away from being a bad football team. And I mean that. You look at that team with Trent Williams out and how bad their offense looked. Kyle Shanahan couldn't fix a thing when his left tackle wasn't protecting Brock Purdy. You look at the offense when Deebo Samuel was out. They didn't look good. Lost 3 straight football games. And I got news for you. Although they look good this week with Nick Bosa and Chase Young, I'm telling you right now, DeMeco Ryans is not on that sideline anymore.
Oh, no.
So,
yeah. Listen, I've been on them. We know from the start, 3 losses in a row. They did win. Eagles are going to bust their ass when they come to Philadelphia. I'm saying it right now. They're going to bust their ass. Wait until I can't wait. I can't wait until they get backdropped over the top rope.
We got to get through Kansas City and Buffalo first.
Come on, 49ers.
Football game.
Crying.
By the way, that Buffalo game doesn't look as hard as it looked when the schedule came out.
Nope.
Let's do that way. Cool. Give me your prediction on the game. Let me know how it goes. Let's wrap it up with you, my friend.
So my counterfeit green is to the Dallas Cowboys, a.k.a. the Arlington football team. You guys go out. You have a couple of good games. You have 2 great games against the worst team in the division. And all of a sudden, you steal them boys. You're the best team in the league. You're this, you're that, blase this, blase that. You're going to come back to earth when you get to the end of the schedule, and you have to actually play good teams. At the same time where you're bloating and bloviating about how you're the best defense in the league, when the Eagles get their 3 bunny games at the end of the season, by the way, one against Arizona, which the team you couldn't beat, we'll see how our defensive numbers look. We're running into a gauntlet. You're not about to start it yet, but you are going to start it when you play us. So we'll see if you steal them boys at the end of that gauntlet when you're firmly in the wild card where you belong.
Hold up. We them boys. No.
The Giants are barely
perfect. Don't forget Dak for MVP.
Yeah, you're right. Don't forget Dak for MVP. Thank you, Kyle.
Dak for MVP. That is a joke.
My man, Kyle.
What a joke.
I actually think the midseason MVP is Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
I got Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, and then Tua. Now, I only have quarterbacks there for a reason. I think Christian McCaffrey and Tyreek Hill should be involved in the conversation, but they never give it to skill position players. I think Dak's 5th on that list. I have CJ Stroud 4, and I have Dak Prescott 5. So,
yeah.
Just wondering what you guys' thoughts are on the MVP, midseason MVP.
Giants are an awful team. I mean, you should smoke them. They're awful. Where's Freddie at? Anyway.
They're starting Danny DeVito's brother.
Yeah. It sounds like they
got
that
said in an interview that my mom still makes my bed.
Wow.
I'm dead serious. That's not a joke. Look that up. That's not a joke. That should be your counterfeit green. That this dude is a professional NFL quarterback, that his mom still does his laundry and makes his bed.
Sounds like he was the counter guy at Sales Pizza in Brooklyn or something.
Hey, man, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at it, though.
I'm worried about, though? I think they're going to be the worst team in football, and I think they're getting Caleb Williams.
They're not going to be the worst team in football because the Carolina Panthers are in the NFL, sir. So you do not have to worry about them getting.
Well, guess what? The Panthers,
they will not get the
Bears
number 1
will
pick.
have that pick.
Right, so the Bears are going to get the number 1 pick, and possibly the number 2 pick because they're really bad.
Panthers are 1 game away from being just tied with the Giants. I don't think the Giants win another football game this year.
I don't think the Panthers are in another football game.
Yeah, I'm with Gene. I don't think the Giants win another football. I don't see how they can.
They got Danny DeVito.
The rest of this, I think the Giants made the mistake of winning 2 games. That's too much to have the number 1 pick, but they probably will have the number 2 pick. It'll probably be like It'll probably be the Panthers, the Giants, and then the Bears, because the Bears have messed around and lost and won 3 games. What do y'all do in Chicago? What do you think?
I think Chicago is going to win like 5 or 6 games because Justin Fields is going to come out and play his ass off. I could just see him just going on a tear right now because they got to find out what they have.
If he goes on the tear, if I was them, I would get rid of him for that crap.
Well, I mean, you need him to show well if they're gonna trade him per se. He has to show well.
Well, they had the Panthers
if I were
so
the
they don't
Bears,
need to worry about though. Like they don't.
Well, what I would do if I was the Bears is I would let Justin Fields sit, right? I would try to get another top 5 pick. I would use the first pick on your main position of need, which is Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't care if it's never been a wide receiver drafted number 1 or not. That's what the Bears should do at number 1. And then they should take whatever is the best player that they feel available at number whatever the other top 5 or so pick is, or trade it and trade it back a little bit and get some more picks.
I'm keeping Fields.
I would stay with Jason Fields. Yeah, I would stay with Jason Fields,
but I'm playing him. And the thing is I just think that's too much chicanery. You got a quarterback there. I get it. You want the full 5 years, but I'm sticking with Fields. And Chicago would be wise to do that. The problem is you can't do coaching. You can't. They're kidding. I think you're going to keep Eberflus, which is, that's the real problem. So
I'm gonna make something very clear. If you didn't watch the last 20 minutes of Wire to Wire last night, go back and watch the last 20 minutes of Wire to Wire. We give our top 5 people that we root against, right? And my number 1's Ben Simmons. Always gonna be Ben Simmons. I'm not changing that. But my number 2, and sorry if I piss anybody off, but I'm just being completely honest with you guys. My number 2 is underqualified white head coaches that are getting jobs in the NFL and failing. Matt Eberflus being at the top of that list. Brandon Staley. When all these overqualified African-American coaches are not getting jobs. Eric Bieniemy, Brian Flores. Look, Anthony Lynn was doing a great job with Justin Herbert. And they fired him. And they stuck with Brandon Staley the rest of his career. And they're below 500 with him. So,
Kellen Moore is going to be the coach there. We'll talk about that on sideline to sideline because the Spanos are cheap, and it'll be easier to pay Kellen Moore money when he's already in house as the offensive coordinator.
All right, well, we got to wrap it up for tonight. Birds deep. We're going to go full hour going forward. Sideline to sideline is next in 12 minutes. We start that show at 7:15, taking you right up to the Thursday night kickoff. Check us out. It's an all NFL show. So if you're a Bears fan, if you're a 49ers fan, if you're a whoever fan, tune into the show. We'll be live on Sports Empire Network and Wire to Wire Sports Podcast. But for Birds Deep tonight, I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walzak. That is Taking It Deep with D. Godfrey and my man, Cool McCain from Eagles Elite Podcast. Any final thoughts, gentlemen?
Nah.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Love it.
Best game of the year coming up. Let's go. Monday night.
All right, y'all. Take care. Appreciate